republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Mayor? Here. Benefield? Brooks?
Here.
Kreiswig? Griswold?
Here.
Gould? Hart? Moran? O'Gara? Here. Weigel? And Eustace.
Yes.
You have a form.
Okay, the first item is the executive committee minutes on February 5th.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we have the executive committee executive session minutes from February 5th. Moved. Second. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have executive committee minutes from February 11th.
We got regular minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The minutes from February 11th.
Moved.
That's Dan.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
We got an extra check.
And then we have executive committee session minutes from February 11th.
Second.
Any additions, corrections, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. You know, you're gonna be around a little bit, I just wanna talk, because I'm unsure what we need to do to sign it. Okay, under old business, we have the draft resolution authorizing transfers from building operations and maintenance personnel from the Public Building Commission to the Will County Executive's Office. Nick?
Morning.
Bruce? Morning.
So just a quick history, I think a lot of you were part of the previous meetings, but this comes about for a number of reasons. We've talked in the past about consolidating central services. We've talked in the past about consolidating vehicle maintenance, but this is strictly focused on maintenance and housekeeping workers that are currently in the courthouse in River Valley. We've been talking about this for a number of months. We had an executive session last month. I'm not going to talk specifically about that since we're in open session because this is ultimately going to be a negotiation. But I think we can simplify this a lot more from our previous discussions. We had some meetings outside, consulted with the county's labor attorney. Really what we're doing with this resolution is allowing employees that are currently paid by the county through the PBC to come over. We talked last month in the executive session about potential costs after negotiation, and that negotiation would come back to the board and you would approve it at that point. Action today is not costing you any money because these people are already county employees who are being paid. All this is doing is moving those folks who are maintenance and housekeeping staff over at the courthouse in River Valley to the county executive's office. And that will trigger some other actions, which I think, that simplifies it because what we were trying to do before was do a couple things at once, and I think it was muddying the waters because there is some actions, and I can talk to that if you'd like me to, but I want to keep it simple. This action is just bringing those folks over, consolidating them. We believe there's going to be greater efficiency, and it's in line with what this board has been talking about, is consolidation of services, centralized services. We've taken on some additional buildings. We have in the county executive budget currently a position that we are most likely, or I think we're not going to fill because of this move. So that starts the savings process right there. We're going to utilize these staff when they're consolidated. But we believe in the long term there will be additional savings, and we will really streamline and see how many staff we actually need to do what our maintenance department that's under the executive does now, and what this work those folks are doing. Hopefully we can do more with it.
But by the way, you talk about more buildings, but, you know, this has been an ongoing discussion, and it really basically takes the Public Building Commission employees, which are really paid by the county, it's just that we send them the money, and moving it to the executive branch of county government. I prefer the term branch, but
That's how.
the executive branch of county government. And for consolidation, you know, Nick mentioned we're gonna take on some new buildings, and I do think this move will help us not have to bring additional folks on. And we're gonna have the, social security, I hate using the social security.
Coroner reporter.
Let's rename that.
Yet to be named.
Can we sell naming rights, by the way? Maybe we can sell the naming rights, you know, but anyway, we have the, recorder deeds and coroner's building. We're gonna take on the First Midwest building, which I assume will take the responsibility for the, maintenance there. I'm asking the question. Sheriff, or will the sheriff?
Currently, the
Or will
sheriff.
the sheriff do it himself?
Well, currently the sheriff maintains the E-building. When they move into First Midwest, we believe that will be handled by the executive branch maintenance department, not the sheriff.
I mean, that's the other consolidation, which
Right.
hopefully we'll get someday, is with the sheriff department, at least a sharing of skilled employees.
Right.
So we'll be taking that out. I think ultimately this is the right thing, right move to make. I'll open it up for any, and this just allows the movement to take place. And then we'll get into a negotiation with the union on placement of folks and the wages and so forth. So there's different wage scales there, and job descriptions, and we might even, hopefully we'll talk to, about the classification within the maintenance, job title. So, you know, there's other things we can accomplish, with that too, and that's classification of employees and give more true reflection of what they do. So, anything else you would add to that?
The only thing I would add is, I mean, we've had some informal conversations with the union. Jeff Dexter is here with AFSCME. He's here today in case there's any questions that he could answer. But until we move them over to begin that process of formal recognition of those employees, we've already filed paperwork with the State Board of Elections, so they're already, or sorry, State Board of Labor, sorry. Is
Running for office?
no.
Nick is always running.
I'm running away from things. So, and that process has begun, but it's at a standstill right now until this move happens, because they're not our employees, so we can't negotiate on their, we can't negotiate with
Right.
the union, they can't negotiate with us, because they're not their employees. So
This allows that negotiation process to take place, correct?
this will start that process.
You know, and it's just more of a comment, because I agree with what you're saying. I mean, we've been talking consolidation forever, and I think there's going to be, you know, there will be some expenses in there, and it's gonna be gray until everything flushes out, but as soon as you start consolidating, and instead of having, you know, two supervisors doing the same job, you're gonna have one person that's gonna eventually be doing it. It's not right away. We understand that it's gonna take a little while as people go through in the jobs and through layoffs or not layoffs, excuse me, that's not what I meant to say. But through retirements and things along those lines, that, you know, we will have, a balancing and a leveling out as this goes forward. So I think it's a good point too.
So,
Yes, good.
And Nick, I know we've had some private meetings and Chuck was there by way of phone. And it sounds like we're pretty close to agreement, we have pretty close to an understanding, but we're not there yet, is that correct?
Well, with this action, it allows the next pieces to go forward until we take this action. And frankly, we're taking new employees into the executive branch. All hires for the executive branch come to this board, so we need some documentation of the legislative branch accepting those employees too into the executive branch. That's why we need a formal resolution. But with that action today or next week, we'll move forward and we'll continue on with things that are already part of our contract, and that's, I don't want to get too much detail, but that's compression.
They're two different
This
things.
is
going on. There are two different
Yeah.
things happening here.
Two different
Right.
buckets.
this is the next step to.
The resolution.
Okay.
Any other, so I need a, motion to
So
approve.
moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, are you staying or are you gonna take it?
I'll say.
Okay, I will then. Well, I didn't know if you were gonna go.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm gonna try to go, but.
Are you going over to lunch?
Well, you know what, let me ask you real quickly, well, I have Nick here, I know I'm jumping over to appointments. You know, I had a discussion with you, President, County Executive, of whether we could hold off on these appointments to 911, or I don't want to use, sorry, the ESTB board. While, because the board may be considering reorganization potentially, and we probably shouldn't make any appointments till we've kind of made that decision. Do you have any problem with me withdrawing, or you?
No, we discussed that, and I don't know if you see it sometimes in the electronic system, but I acknowledged that in a
You
note.
did,
It
okay.
said, these folks, the two folks we're talking about are existing board members, so like all our board
They'll
commissions, they'll
continue to
continue to
serve.
serve until either replaced or reappointed, so it doesn't create a quorum issue, it doesn't hurt their operations at all, so those can hold.
I just wanted to make sure that you,
That's fine.
your share, well, anybody understand, this is something we talked about.
Right. That's fine.
And it's just, you know, as the board looks at the ESTB board, along with the county executive branch, that there may or may not be a possibility of some reorganization there. And this allows us to give that thought, so.
Well, yeah, especially as one of those appointments mine.
Yeah, I was,
Hello?
yeah, yours too, I mean, they'll all be held up. I mean, well, until the board says,
You're
we're
on
gonna
for
leave
next
it,
month,
we're
actually.
gonna leave it, we're gonna leave it.
Lump them together.
But everybody will continue to serve, because if there's once you appoint, even if you reorganize, you have to leave those newly appointed people on. Because we've done this before, so I just want everybody to know that Nick is gone. Yes, and this is being done in cooperation with the executive office.
Right, yes, absolutely.
All right. Number two, discussion of an ordinance prohibiting the video gaming in unincorporated Will County. This is on here, I was hoping actually to bring it forward for a vote. But what the process would be, that Mary will prepare an ordinance for us prohibiting video gambling or gaming in unincorporated Will County. But then that has to go to a public hearing. So I'd like us just to maybe entertain a motion to a public hearing the first Thursday, or first executive meeting in April.
So moved.
The motion,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
So we'll hold that public hearing and we'll get that all published and we'll have another public hearing on a very specific ordinance. That's right.
On specific language.
Okay, very specific language. Okay. Is there any other old business to bring forward today? Under new business, declaring various equipment surplus and authorizing their disposal. On the move. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Authorizing redevelopment agreement with Naperville for household hazardous waste collection.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Discussion county board approval of Patrick Engineering to assist the Will County Land Use Department to perform a pre-filing review of Blairway landfill expansion 2 documentation to be submitted by Waste Management. Move second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Authorizing the county executive to approve Title VI program for the RTA, Fair Transfer Program.
Move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Directing the Public Building Commission to fund hardware and server for the sheriff's office at the Berkeley West Frankfurt. Now, before we move on this, we can move in a second, but, you know, I do think this requires a little discussion. And, Mary, I'll probably ask you some questions here on this, but first let me say that the county board can direct the Public Building Commission to do a project. We can declare, we can ask them to look at their funding, they can declare excess funding there, or it can return to the county. county cut its contribution of payments. But generally, at least to my knowledge, we've never asked them to directly just pay for something that the county was doing. And I personally think that might not be a very good policy. Even though we at the county level, at the county may have done a lot of the work, or maybe almost all the work. And we ask them to accept that. If the project goes to them, and then it's paid by the Public Building Commission, that actually they're doing the project. Even if they haven't done a lot of work on it. And I do think that's a better policy versus having them just pay for something. And Nick and I have had a whole discussion about this. So this is really more of a matter I think might be good policy, or continuing the current policy. I think it gets a little iffy when one agency's paying the contract of another agency, and the contract's not under the paying agency. So these are my concerns. I don't know, Mary, if you have any comment. But basically my concern is having a, one, and I'm gonna use it as a taxing body, so that's a separate levy. So like one taxing body pay for another taxing body. I think it's kind of.
I mean, certainly, if you had an intergovernmental agreement, you could do that. I mean, I would like to review the statute for the building commissioner too, because they should only be paying for certain types of projects. So I'd want to make sure this project falls within those parameters.
Well, I think it probably does, but, like I say, it doesn't, we've done other projects for the sheriff, the Public Building Commission, I should say, we've done other projects for the sheriff, where the sheriff basically is done all the, technical work and so forth, and maybe he's even done some of the initial, cost analysis. But then if a Public Building Commission is a separate body, has to approve something, if they had no involvement in the procurement process per se, let's say, I think that becomes I think it's not a very good policy. So, even beyond the legalese, but, so basically you have one division of government doing the contract, and another unit of the government approving and spending the money. I just, so it's more about, well, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, it may be legal, but is it a good, really, it may not be a very good practice of policy, again.
Can I speak to, I think there's two things, the need and then the payment process. Can I speak to the need first and then we'll talk about the payment? So, okay, so this, in your packet, there's two sets of items. One is for what we're calling the telecom network interface hardware. It's basically, I heard people referring to it as a phone system. It's not a phone system, it's really like a plug, and the technical people are here, so if you have specific questions, I'm gonna defer to them. But this is.
By the way, this is supported by the county's IT.
County T department, our telecom, our IT department, telecom is part of our IT department.
Yes.
That's the C in ICT. And then the second item is an IT server virtualization, which is directly a partnership between our IT department and the sheriff's department. So I'm gonna talk about the first one very briefly. This is necessary for a couple levels, and not to get it too complicated, but this is going to assist us by purchasing this piece of equipment and all the necessary parts. It is going to allow us to turn on the First Midwest system and turn off the Eagle system so that there's no daylight between. So it's absolute turn off, or turn on, turn off, and then the system that's at Eagle, we're going to redeploy at Sunny Hill, which is a whole reason, and if you want me to go into efficiencies, staffing levels are low there. It's all redeployed. So that is for those two functions. So the Sheriff's Department is involved in that because they're moving into First Midwest along with some other departments, but it's largely Sheriff's Department. So that is in there. We budgeted for other costs related to the First Midwest in anticipation. We budgeted additional dollars in the IT department for labor. We buy blocks of time to run the wires and stuff. This was not an anticipated cost. This was kind of, I will argue, a contingency thing because the systems there are old in the Eagle building, they're end of life, we need to replace them, and it was just a nice convenience so we could make the transition smoother and work on a project at Sunny Hill. So that's that piece of it.
And then I ask you, so rather than having the sheriff take on the responsibility, because it's IT related or it's supported by the county's IT department, so then it's going to be our IT department?
Well, our communication is all pretty much, I think it's fair to say, is through our communications in IT. I mean, they service the phones for most, all of it. There may be staff that are dedicated to it within the other, like the health department has staff that does this, but Mike Kaluga, who's in Mike Shea's department, is kind of, he and his staff are a point on this, so that is the telecom part. The second piece, it's also approximately about 25,000, is for the server virtualization. And basically, this is, and maybe I'm just confused, this is also an older piece of equipment that is dated. It's gonna cost more for them to replace that than to do this virtualization. This virtualization, which this again is in line with what this board has been directing us to do, is central services. This is a completely cooperative effort. We're not forcing the sheriff's officers, they're agreeing to do this. This is putting a server in the county building here, in our IT department, allowing the sheriff's department to access it, and it's cheaper, it's more effective, it's just a good solution. So this too was something that we weren't expecting to do, so it wasn't budgeted for in the budget, so we're looking for funding for that. So I'll answer those questions, but then maybe we can talk about payment.
You know, then I would, you know, I'm gonna go back to Mary again and thinking, well, now I maybe agree, Mary, we should look at the public building, which I'm not so concerned about the sheriff's side. And I do think that relates to a building, relates to that. I'm not so sure about buying servers, the virtual server.
I can go look at the statute if you want me to move on, and I'll.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
And I'm glad.
I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah, typically under the Public Building Commission, my recollection is their authority is for more bricks and mortar type.
But we have, they did purchase and maybe that was because
We'll
they
purchase security.
they bought the jail management system, they
Yeah.
bought other IT equipment for that building. Now, maybe that was because it was part of the building.
Well, I think it's because that was originally part of the work that the Public Building Commission performed when they built the jail.
It was part of the overall project, as I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm now asking the question, I don't know.
Can we get clarification? So I just want to clarify, so these two proposals that we have here, both the server and the question on the floor is whether we're going to actually have the Public Building Commission pay for this.
It needs to be paid for somewhere because it wasn't in the budget. Here's the thing.
And so just let me further clarify, so that's one thing, and then the other thing is though, that we're also starting to take a step forward, the consolidation of systems, which is a good thing, because now we're going in and putting our servers into a single bank where we can have one or two IT people looking at something versus having people spread all over the county where we don't need them. Is that the part of this process too, that's in here now?
So I
The
do,
simple answer is yes, and I don't want to get too far over my skis. Mike Shea, I think, is here. He can probably talk more, it's not this the first time we've done this.
For the server issue, there are servers currently in the Eagle building, and as we
And
were
they maintain
coordinating.
it there.
Currently, yes, and as we were discussing moving that and creating infrastructure in the First Midwest facility for those, and working between the sheriff's office and my department, as we looked at it, we realized that they were gonna have to replace a vast majority, if not all, of those servers. And so we're looking at, $50 grand to do that. Well, as we looked at it, it occurred to us, well, hold on, we could take 25 grand, expand our virtualized environment here,
And just partition it off and give them
and
their.
partition it off, and then we'll do maintenance, we'll do security, we'll do maintenance, we'll do security, we'll do the back end maintenance, and we can take that off their hands. It's not that much for us, it doesn't add significantly to our workload, it takes it away from them. It also removes the need to construct the infrastructure in that building to carry the servers and basically have their little mini data center they were going to have there. So this is actually
You know,
a consolidation and an efficiency,
You know-
and it saves some cost in that building.
I'm not, I don't think we're questioning
That was the need.
the need, you know, that.
Yeah, no, there absolutely is a need.
You know, the whole thing is the whole policy of just saying to like the Public Building Commission, oh, you just pay this bill. I mean, I don't think that's a good policy unless the project is really a project, first off, that's qualified for the Public Building Commission, but doesn't go through the Public Building Commission, in some form.
Can I speak to that, Jim?
Yeah, well, you know what, I will make, but I know Mike said.
Yeah, so I'm confused then, how does the redeploy for Sunny Hill for $20-some thousand, how does that fit into that resolution?
That's we needed to do that, but we also need, because the sheriff's operations are so critical, we didn't want to shut them off and have to.
No, I understand,
Yeah,
I understand
so by
that,
doing
I
that-
understand that.
There's
I'm
a-
just saying, as far as the resolution goes, it makes no mention of moving the stuff to Sunny Hill and doing that cost.
Just because it's almost like a surplus item afterwards, but with a surplus item.
Get rid of it or use it.
Well, right, but we're spending $22,000 to redeploy it. Because
But that's
we're
all part,
maintenance.
that's all part of that number.
That's part of the 50?
Correct. I think there's a mild misunderstanding here.
Okay.
Half of this money is for basically server consolidation, okay? Where we are bringing in some of the administrative basic services from sheriff's office. The other part is for a telecom system, okay? We have the need to break Sunny Hill off and to bring Sunny Hill's phone services into our side of the shop, okay? There's expense associated in doing that, and there's also expense in expanding the phone services necessary to serve First Midwest.
So what number is
So,
that part of?
so our goal is, our goal is to purchase a new phone system, put it in First Midwest, okay? So that when we go dark with Eagle, First Midwest immediately comes up. That leaves us with the excess equipment necessary to go over to Sunny Hill and create the division that we need there and bring their telecom into us. So we're trying to retask everything
I understand that,
efficiently,
I'm
and
just,
that's
I'm just,
25 grand.
I'm looking at the
also.
money. So
25 grand for Sunny Hill,
that's the 25 grand, okay,
25 grand for sheriff's server consolidation.
in that 50.
It's all, the
all
the number
it's
you're
like 50.
approving, if you approve it, is a not to exceed 50,000 total.
But the real question is whether it's gonna come from the building commission, or are we using other capital funds,
Yeah,
or sheriff's funds?
can I, well,
I don't think you can take the money from public building commission for the service. It has to be more bricks and mortar. I've got both Phil and Kevin looking at the statute. They're not finding anything that would allow you to purchase this sort of item. And my recollection was with the jail management system, I inquired about that and was told that that actually operates the locking mechanisms on the cells, that there were actual physical, components to that system. I'm not hearing anything in a server system that deals with the physical components of the building.
Well, let me, and let's do this. Rather, it's a matter of just funding. We'll just find another place in our budget to pay it.
can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Here's the reason why we thought that, is we've had the discussion, I don't remember what month that was, the money that was at PVC that was in effect excess money, we talked about bringing it back and we chose to leave it at PVC. That money is, I think, this board is in agreement that it's earmarked for the sewer and water project. So that can stay there for that purpose. The alternative could be taking this out of the capital fund, because we have, that money's in the capital fund for this year.
Here's what I would do. I think you should go forward with this. But here's what I would do. I would suggest that identify funds from someone, unless anybody can help with this, take it back to finance, let them. We're pretty, we should be pretty flush right at the moment. We're in the first quarter of our budget. It's not like there's no money there. It may not be a lot there, we may have other projects, but
It's not a question of insufficient funds, if we had it earmarked for something else, we would have to sit down and just make a new plan, rearrange. It's not, it has nothing to do with is the money there.
Not
We
everything
just
always,
have to
you know.
re-identify, that's
And
all.
very often, we don't get everything started in St. Christopher, so.
This
I
was
would
not
just
part of-
identify
This
different,
wasn't identified as a specific line item in this year's capital budget.
I would just find another funding source for this and go forward. You can, I would still go forward on it with the idea that you're gonna get the funding. And maybe take it, to the,
We'll leave that part of the resolution out, and we'll fill it in before your board meeting the following Thursday.
okay.
So the building
I mean,
commission,
unless, you know, we have the finance chair here, we can do it here. I mean, where would you suggest to come from this?
It could come from county board budget, it could come from 304 special fund, but do we need a resolution any longer if we're not directing the public building commission? The resolution kind of goes away,
that's
because
all,
they're not,
that's done.
right?
So you just need to
Building
get,
commission.
then all we have to do is approve the project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the board needs to approve the project, we just need to be able to pay the bill when the bills come in, so if you don't need
We'll
to.
pay the bill then.
Checks in the mail.
Somehow we'll get the
We'll pay
bill.
for it.
So
We got $100 million in the RTA fund. It's all public safety.
What was
Make your head explode. I need to go up to the podium. Well, you know what?
And the general
If the former governor, last two governors didn't overspend and raid every special fund and overspend and borrow money, we would be in this spot.
No one goes without sin, let's just say that, let's.
They're all bad.
They're all bad. We're not.
We're great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually required on the plan,
Okay,
right?
all right.
We agree to government.
Number 6 is gonna require executive session, so we're gonna skip over that, okay? Replacement hires for the Division of Transportation. Motion moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Replacement hires for the Land Use Department. So moved. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Replacement hires for the Land Use Department, I probably should say what it is senior planner. So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Proclamations, Mr. Brooks. Mayor?
Did we have any?
Yeah.
Did you give it to me?
I did give it to you, but there's four, there's an Eagle
Right,
Scout.
I got
Okay,
it.
there's
I
an
just-
Eagle Scout.
There's the Metropolitan Chicago Healthcare for the Worker Appreciation Day, designating in April. There is.
Okay, yeah, let me just say.
I want to cancel them all. Don't do any of it.
There it is. I think I read the first two chapters.
You know what? If you approve the resolutions, you can make a determination.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
make a determination.
I always just say, try to connect them to the committees that they may be really.
Okay.
Person from there.
Yeah, well,
So
we have some of our, we have names of some of the board members already.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
As long as you're
That's where they
okay.
came
I
from.
apologize, Chuck.
Right.
So we have 4 proclamations?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
And I,
Okay. All in favor of the 4 proclamations?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Under appointments, we're gonna withdraw the appointments for the ESTV board. Got a motion to that effect?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Other new business, you know what, the creation of the ad hoc abatement policy committee. I would ask those of you who might have an interest on serving on that, it'd probably be a committee that meets probably more on a quarterly basis. We'd probably fit it in between some others. You may have to meet beforehand on that, initially, unless you get formed. So if you have an interest in being on the committee, and I'll say this to both, leaders, you know, you might want to ask your caucus who has an interest. Okay, we'll probably put 5 people on, I think it's
total five?
total 5, I think it's probably what it is now. So I'd sort of like 2 for your caucus, 3 for your caucus, is probably sufficient. All right, so, just let us know if you have an interest.
I think there are some statutory.
The committee reports, land use, Tom?
There's 2 resolutions, one on historic preservation, continuing the studies, and one for training of historic preservation, training session.
You know what, Tom, can I interrupt you just for a second? Suzanne, before I let you go, do you have anything on the legislative committee you want to say?
Oh, yeah, the governor's in town at noon.
So there's nothing on your agenda?
No, nothing that we need to,
Yes, okay.
but thank you, John.
Okay, all right, good.
There's two resolutions, one for historic preservation training for commissioners, to grant funding, and also continuation of historic surveys in Milton Township through grant funding. There's no zoning cases this month.
Any questions for Mr. Wago? Okay, then, Public Works, Don?
We're just fixing the structure on Nooks Road, the second resolution is paid for.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Gould?
He's good finance.
Oh, I'm sorry, fine, they sure did. Mr. Olson, important person to do.
Yeah, we got a couple things. We got a resolution to abate property taxes for the proposed sale of Creek Distribution Center, Joliet. Authorizing the executive to execute the documents for the tax program, transferring some appropriations for various budgets to fund the year-end shortfalls, and authorizing the appropriation of funds from the National Association of County and City Health Official Grant to the Health Department budget.
Any questions for Mr. Fuzalon?
I'd like to ask,
Yes.
Mike, maybe you could speak a little bit to this amendment request. You know, it's a move from one yard to another, from Elwood to Joliet, and I don't know a lot about it, I only know what we have here. It says it's about a $14 an hour wage, average. You know, is this in our best interest, did the committee believe or not?
Well, two things. Number one, I think that's what's pushing this ad hoc committee again to look at that, because we started looking at that last year, we didn't do anything. So this resolution was voted on and approved in committee because it meets the guidelines for what has been set up. They are bringing an additional 100 jobs into the area when they make this move, and it fits the guidelines that we've set up. So it's kind of hard to go against the
Qualifies under the
guidelines we've set up.
I'm always a little,
Whether you support it individually, I'm probably like this.
I'm just gonna say one thing, Jim, and maybe this has come up in the past, but I'm always a little concerned about playing off one portion of Will County against another, you know, and moving from one municipality to another municipality and then becoming eligible for an abatement. That's a little concerning
Yeah,
to me.
I would say this about that, their choice wasn't just moving into another portion of Will County. They were anticipating either moving into another area of Will County or moving to Indiana.
That Indiana card is being played all the time.
You know what?
Yeah,
And I'm
When it comes to
getting a little tired of
When we
it.
get to logistics, we have them beat
I mean, how, where in Indiana, I mean, compared to here with what we have,
Cost
I
if we
mean,
go in and drive.
really,
it.
you know.
Let me say this, it did meet under the guidelines, therefore the committee moves it along. It doesn't mean that you have to approve it or,
Exactly.
just me personally, I don't think we need to give incentives to these type of businesses, that's why we're gonna relook at. You know, I agree with Don, moving from one municipality to another. And, you know, for me, here's the other problem we have. First off, I should understand, this resolution is the intent to abate. Part of the problem is these resolutions, these things have not been coming back to us when they actually get abated, they're actually just being approved. So our action basically is the intent, you know, and I think most of them, when they do qualify, they're just given the abatement without the board's approval. That's one issue. That's I think, a serious issue actually, that somehow, so I would even ask the state's attorney, if it hasn't come back to the board, he's passed abatements, if it hasn't come, if we only did a resolution
Our
to.
policy.
There's a
We've
notification
only
thing,
done,
it's
if we
a
only
lot
did,
more detailed.
if we only did a resolution for the intent, and I don't wanna get too far off, but if we did a resolution to the intent to abate, do we then have to come back and do the abatement separately? And Mary, you don't, I would like the answer.
You need to come back and do the abatement. In the past, I have to say that many years ago, I believe the county clerk's office gave abatements based on the intent, the triggers were there,
Yeah.
but
That's a
I've
problem.
had a conversation with them, and they're not gonna do that anymore. They don't
Yeah,
have
but
an actual abatement.
how about the ones that are out there, Phil? But
They've done
If I may,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
clarify
Yeah,
this,
Bruce.
that the change occurred under the former legal counsel to the executive framework. You know, Frank felt that once the intent was approved.
He didn't need the board no more.
But and I think there was a discussion of the state's attorney's office, although I wasn't going to participate. And so I think he felt that was okay, and that's how they changed.
Well, I just wanna say that we haven't given one abatement, and the county executive's giving the abatement. How's that?
Well, and the other piece of this is that we had spent a long time taking a look.
No, Nick?
We spent a long time taking a look at the policy, and there was a lot of holes in that policy that these guys were filling. It wasn't that nothing was done, it was that there was a ton of stuff that needed to be evaluated. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So there was a ton of things that needed to be evaluated, and I think it's time to, you know, bring them back to go in, review the policy and all that.
That's why we're doing it.
That's why we're doing this, that's why we're doing this, and the other thing of this is, industry needs to be part of this. We can't just abate everything that comes in as part of our transportation system, because that's what we are, we're a transportation hub, and if they wanna move to Indiana and start driving trucks, and the amount of fuel that it'll take.
But
and
no
all
roads,
the
there's
other-
no roads in
roads.
Indiana, by the
So,
way.
go ahead.
If you haven't been in Indiana lately,
Because
there's
the
no
taxes
roads.
that you're paying us aren't that high.
And Chuck, and that nothing has changed
But let me,
after the
but let me-
meetings, and that's
okay.
why we're starting it up again.
But-
to
but
make
give-
No,
some
that,
changes.
yeah, that's exactly why we're
I'll
bringing this
get back
committee
to
back
this.
forward.
Also, even when you look at our policy, and the reason we do the intent to abate, because not everything in the policy is completed. You know, our position is that the local government gives an abatement. Now, Joliet hasn't given an abatement. They said, well, we're discussing the abatement. You know, and what has happened, and I know a number of cases, we've given the abatement, and then the local government didn't do the abatement. You know, so, and I think our policy clearly states, the local entity has to abate. So, do we do it? But we've been doing this, oh, they're in the process. Well, do we wait till it's in the process, or we actually wait till they've done it?
There's,
Now, are they going to a larger facility, or is it gonna be the same size?
Larger
Larger
facility and an
facility.
additional 100 employees.
Yeah, they are expanding their
And
operation.
John Gruden did come make a presentation, but I thought also, Mr. Speaker.
he always does it.
No, I know, but I thought last week we talked about that, what he had working on included Saddle Creek. We're going forth with the abatement ad hoc committee, but Saddle Creek and other things that you clearly asked, John, was there anything else that was being worked on at that time, was being exempt from this?
Well, they can go through the process, you know, it's because they present it to us, and this is because even if they meet the criteria, in my opinion, they don't, because the local entities haven't given the abatements as of yet. Doesn't mean you have to vote yes.
That's
We're
only
bringing-
guidelines.
We're bringing it
You're not
forward.
locked into it.
Right, we're bringing it forward.
And if I may, Mr.
We're not locked
Chairman.
into a yes.
No, I understand, okay.
And just one more comment, I mean, we're talking about the front end of this. What we found when we were looking at this was there was a whole lot of back-end reporting that wasn't happening. That the information that they had some guidelines that they were supposed to follow through on to even report back to us, whether people are even being, held accountable for what they were supposed to, the follow-up and follow-through. And so this is a bigger process than us just saying, are we gonna provide abatements to this?
But it's gonna go forward, we're gonna put it on,
And then the committee will be able to use
It's gonna go forward, vote at the county board level. You know, I know that, there's a lot of different views on this. You know, I was supportive of many initiatives early on, but I think that, Will County does not need this jumpstart for this type of industry any longer. Maybe manufacturing, maybe medical research, those type of industries, that are targeted industries that would like to bring. Those are, I think, which we need.
And there is gonna be a component of manufacturing in this facility too, so.
If they,
It's small component.
just a quick question, if we don't wanna vote on the intent, which we don't have to, we could, vote against this, from an intent standpoint. actually making them go and get all of the local governments and then come back to us when all those have been voted on. I mean, there's no reason that they, if we voted it down now, that they couldn't come back to this board at a later time.
But if we voted for it, they can still do that as well, though, Chuck.
No, because I don't wanna vote on intent of having this thing not come because we,
But it's
I don't wanna
gonna
vote on intent to give money away. I wanna vote on giving money away when we're ready to give money away, when they've dotted all their i's and crossed all their t's. That's my
Well,
point.
listen, you know, like I said, it's gonna go forward. You know, not everybody, I don't think this will be, I actually think it'll go fast.
Well, that's what you got, Mike. That's good over there.
So, that's why I skipped over. So,
Okay, yeah.
Mike, is there anything else?
Like, no.
Thank you, Mike. Judicial?
Nothing to report, Chairman.
Okay. Any questions for the chairman? Okay. Public health and safety?
We just have two contracts for Sunny Hill for different supplies.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Judy? Okay, legislative, Suzanne already told us, you have anything, Kathleen, Megan?
We're awarding the contract for the remodeling on the, for the sheriff for the second and third floor at Bid West.
Any questions for me? Executive, any questions for me? Okay, now, before we go into executive session, I'm gonna allow public comments, so, is there any public comment today? See, I know senior services are here, too, by the way, if you'd like to say, come on forward. Oh, no,
Good morning. Good morning. I am Linda Arnold. I live at 7260 West Lakeside Drive in Frankfurt. I'd like to thank the committee for continuing the conversation in regards to the video gaming in unincorporated Will County. It is all of our social responsibility to protect the children. Business owners have been given the right by the Illinois Gaming Board to operate where children and teens are present without the requirement of parental supervision. Video games are designed to be enticing, bright lights, the rewarding sounds of the ringing bells. When video gaming is in a convenience store, a gas station, or what Illinois Gaming Board is called a truck stop, it is open for all to use. Convenience stores that are located down the street from a high school, where the high schoolers stop on their way to school to pick up their snacks, their drinks. Children run down the street to go grab their candy bars. They see the allure of adults gathered around video gaming. They hear the ringing of the bells. They see the bright lights. They get trapped. They see what this fun is, but they do not realize what the repercussions are. The Video Gaming Act adopted by the board has rules concerning the economic concentration of video gaming in respect to the operation for casinos, for the Illinois Horse Racing Act, by having a rule that they cannot be located within 1,000 feet of another facility that has video gaming. What is the rule when it pertains to school or a place of worship? 100 feet. There's not a rule when it comes to the place of a single-family home or resident where children are being raised. Section 40 of the Video Gaming Act pertains to minors. Video gaming terminal used by minors is prohibited. No licensee shall cause or permit any person under the age of 21 to use or play a video gaming terminal. Any licensee who knowingly permits a person under the age of 21 to use or play a video gaming terminal is guilty of a business offense and shall be fined an amount not to exceed $5,000. I do not see anything in regards to suspension of the video games. I do not see any mention of accountability or repercussions. $5,000. In regards to the interstate. The interstate is a great convenience for the traveling business person. A lot of people want to live near a business interstate because it's convenient for them. But it is also very convenient for potential crimes to take place. I-80 is close to I-57 and also 294. But the Illinois Gaming Board states that a truck stop must be within 3 miles of an interstate in order to obtain a license. all I see is the Video Gaming Act protecting their terminal operators, but not protecting the residents, the community, the children. The ease of play at a gas station. A newspaper report published last week stated that a customer stated that it's a great gathering place. A gas station, a gathering place. What is the protection as opposed to when a casino is in operation? A casino has state agents, they have security guards, they have door guards. Does a gas station, does a convenience store? No. Do they have an agent monitoring the play of these video games? No. A drinking establishment has in place protection to monitor if drinking is out of control. Is anybody there to monitor the gambling? A casino has a registry to make sure, Gamblers Anonymous, somebody can register to make sure that they don't get out of control. They have a limit placed on their card. At a gas station, it's too simple. I had a coworker at a bank. She was a teller supervisor. She got promoted to a branch supervisor. She was also running the books for her husband's family business. Things got out of control. She had gamers fallacy. She kept thinking, I'm going to hit the next big one. I'm going to get it on the next big one. Things got out of control. She used the money from her family's business, and she snapped. She stole money out of the federal institution. She snapped. What happens then? There's job loss. There's bankruptcy. There's foreclosure. Depreciation of the homes of the family in the surrounding areas. The legislatures in Springfield and the Illinois Gaming Board are expected.
If I can interrupt you just for a second. You usually do have 3 minutes of comment. I'll let you continue, maybe wrap it up. Certainly, we hope you would come to the public hearing, and if you're not able to come physically, you can submit your testimony too. But if you can, maybe just kind of wrap it up.
Well, I had a conversation with Jim.
Unless you're gonna take Sandra's time.
I had a conversation yesterday with Jim Pelham. He's the legal counsel for the Illinois Gaming Board in the Chicago office. He stated that the legislatures in Springfield are aware and they are confused about some of the way that the ordinances are used, are not used, the protection for the residents. He stated that they have been having conversations, and we do have a new chairman of the Illinois Gaming Board, Don Tracy. The Illinois Gaming Board has not been in a meeting since November of 2014. The calendar shows 3 meetings in March, the 24th, 25th, and 26th. The Will County Board is meeting on the 19th. This is the list of just the truck stops that are on the pending application list. Since the last time I spoke, 8 additional truck stops have been added to the list.
How many is there now, Linda? How many is there now?
In this entire list, over 48. 8 have been added since the last time I spoke in February. 4 of them are in Will County. 4 of them are in Will County. What I'm asking is for the government to look over its residents, to bring this to Will County for a vote, to opt out of video gaming at the March 19th meeting, continue to have discussions, meet with the Illinois Gaming Board, and formulate rules and ordinances when unincorporated Will County has been given the authority to pass an ordinance, and then have a discussion to bring it back with those ordinances already in place to protect your residents. Because these could possibly be approved within 2 weeks.
Thank you. Oh, like I say, we're gonna have a public hearing first Thursday of.
In April?
Right. Sandra, you got 30 seconds. Otherwise, Linda uses
Oh
your
my
time.
God, wait, where's my husband? No.
You're gonna say you agree.
You can call me if they don't buy.
You know, obviously, we're very passionate about this whole situation. I have something which I'll present at your next meeting, so you won't take your time up. But I want, personally, I'm just saying to you, I have 2 grandchildren who are at our home on a weekly basis. Do I have to worry about their safety and well-being if gaming is allowed at this future gas station that will be adjacent to our residential areas? I mean, our whole community is so upset over this, you have no idea. And I know that your decision to at least stop this until we can come together and make these regulations possible would be just vital for everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for those, thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Pat Hensley, Executive Director of Senior Services Center. I know our request now is going to be on the April agenda. I did bring information that I just want to leave with you so that you'll have time to look at it before next month's meeting, and thank you so much for considering our request.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? If not, I'm
Motion
going,
going in
I'll entertain a motion going
Go to
into
executive.
executive session, for the purpose of what?
That's going to be
Ongoing negotiation.
No,
litigation.
Pending litigation, okay.
Gotta get it right.
Okay, yeah,
Gotta get it right.
we got a motion second, take the roll, please.
Mayor? Senator?
Yes.
Yes.
Freitag? Yes. Chrysalom?
Yes.
Rule?
Yes.
O'Gala?
Yes.
Weigel? And Eustace? We're in.
And the agenda.
Yeah, move to approve this.
Oh, okay. Move to approve the multi-year real estate
Okay.
assessment agreement
Yep.
with Suco.
And Jim, one other question,
Place it
the
on the
IDI
agenda.
development for Shanahan, there was a motion that came out last week to place it on the agenda. I did not place it, so if you want to make at least a formal motion, you should do
Okay,
that.
so we'd like to make a motion to that effect.
I'll
Move
second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to set the county board agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Jen, I have-
One, yes, yes.
I'm just curious on the video gaming public hearing. Are we notifying our current video gaming license holders? Because this
We
will
don't
affect
personally
them?
notify.
No.
We publish a notice.
I know we do the public, but
No, we don't, part of our, not to necessarily contact individuals. I'm
They
sure they'll
haven't
be
been-
aware of it.
they haven't
But you know, but,
agreed it.
but quite honestly, this doesn't, what we're doing will not affect current holders.
it could affect the future.
Well, it could affect the fact that it eliminates competition. How's that? I mean, so, at any rate,
Yeah, but I
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.